All right, hi guys. Happy December 31st, almost the end of 2020. It is the Paint Diva coming to you live, and we're going to paint Snowed In. I've got a few minutes to 7. I'm coming on early, just a couple minutes early, so that everybody can get on board. As always, I am going to keep this video up on my Facebook page for a few days afterwards, and then I will move it over to my YouTube channel. So if you don't have time to try it tonight, you can certainly try it at your own leisure. Okay, so I am live. It is December 31st, the end of 2020. In a few hours, hindsight will be 2020, and it'll be official. All right, so I hope that you're joining. I hope that you're going to have some fun. You're going to follow along. This is a pretty fun painting to do. I'm going to teach you a new technique. We're going to use an old beat up toothbrush, or we're going to use a big flat brush, whatever you've got around, and we're going to have some fun, and we're going to create something new. So as we're waiting for everybody to get on, then let me know where you're from, and we're going to just make some art and be creative and say goodbye to 2020. A little bit early, but that's okay. So yeah, where's everybody from? Take your time, get yourself all set up. Like I said, this will be up on my Facebook page for a little while afterwards, and then you can follow along at your own leisure and stop and start whenever you want to stop and start. Anybody else have anything exciting that they're going to do afterwards to ring in the new year? It's an old Irish tradition where you open up the doors and let out the old year and bring in the new year. So maybe that's a good idea for everybody to try that too. Thanks, Daniela. All the best for 2021 for you as well. All right. So we're just going to give it just a couple minutes because we're just up at 7 o'clock now. So just wait for a couple of people to join on, and then we'll have some fun. Okay. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining. Thanks for always being there and being so supportive. I really appreciate it. We are going to have some fun. We're going to paint Snowed In. Hopefully we won't have much of this year, but you never know. So yeah, just let me know. Where are you from? Who's everybody? Who's watching tonight? Let me know. Let me know. Tonight we're going to use, like I said, an old beat up toothbrush if you've got one hanging around. If you don't, and you've got a bigger flat brush, you can use that as well. We're also going to use a small square brush. Hey, Carl. Thanks for watching and thanks for dropping in. Izzy. Oh, this is fantastic. This makes me so happy. And then we've got little liner brushes. If we want to do a little bit of detail work, you can use that later as well. I'll show you how to use that. So yeah, we're just going to have some basic colors here on the palette. If you can see that, a couple of shades of brown, a little bit of red, black, and white. And that's it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. All right, so if everybody's ready to go, give me some thumbs up. Give me a okie dokie, and we'll get started. This one's pretty straightforward. If you know how to paint a rectangle, I think you're going to be really happy with the results with this one. All right, I think we're gonna just get going. Hi, Debbie from Ajax. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, guys, so we're doing Snowed In. And this is another Debbie. Hi, Debbie from Whitby, yay! All right, and if you can't find me, then just head to my website, or my Facebook page, pardon me, The Paint Diva. And make sure that you've clicked that you like the page and click going in the event, because that's how you find me live. Commander. Where is Commander, Charlene? This is fantastic. All right. 3 Debbies. Debbie, Debbie, Debbie. Wow, this is fun. This is impressive. Andy, I think that, can you let one of my admins know that there's a message that they need to ask about, somebody's asking a question in my messages?
You talking to me?
I am. Hi. Oh, my kids, hello. I got some auntie love. This is awesome. I love it. All right, guys, so this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to get started with. And believe it or not, from this blank canvas, we're going to create that. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab a little sponge or your large brush, or if you've got a foam brush, that's what you want to grab right now, okay? And you're just going to grab some black paint. You're going to load that brush up or that sponge up with black paint. So I've just got some black paint, and I'm going to paint the entire canvas in black. Now, it doesn't have to be a perfectly solid black because we are going to go over this, but just get some black on that canvas so that it's all covered. And when you're painting canvas, you want to paint the top edges and the sides so that when you put your canvas up on the wall, that does a couple of things. First of all, it covers everything and it makes it look really more appealing. And secondly, canvas is a natural cotton material. And if you've joined me before, you'll know me when I always tell you this, that as a natural cotton material, over time, that cotton will shrink. And if you don't cover those edges and seal them up, then it can cause your paint to crack because it'll shrink and then the paint won't be where you laid it down originally. So there's your tip for the day. Okay, I'm just going right down to the very bottom, painting the sides, just like that. And I'm right down at the very bottom. And that is my entire canvas covered in black. Now it's not solid. There are some streaks in there, and that's okay. We want that, okay? It doesn't have to be completely solid. We're just getting the black on there just as a base, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna grow and we're gonna add on top of that black. So what you wanna do is you just wanna make sure that it's covered. Like I said, make sure you've got the sides of your canvas all painted. Make sure the top's done and make sure the bottom's done. Okay, and that's all you gotta do. Just straight on black. I know you would have never thought, right? Just from looking at that painting, but that's the trick to this painting, and it's going to make all the colors pop. So just go ahead and you just get that canvas covered in some black paint. Again, if anybody's having any challenges hooking onto the live, make sure you're on my Facebook page and you've given it a like, and then click going in the event, because that does make a difference and you do get notifications whenever we do one of these lives. Okay. So I think that we should be good. You guys just let me know. And you guys have got your black paint all on. I just want you to rinse your brush or move your sponge off to the side, or rinse your foam sponge if you're using that. And then once you've got that done, give me some thumbs up or just let me know that you're ready to move on and we'll go to the next step, okay? I think we've got it all. I think everybody should be able to see that pretty clear. Got a new phone with a bigger screen, so I think that that probably will make life a little bit easier for everybody. Okay, so I think that we're probably in good shape. But you guys just let me know when you've got your canvas all painted in black, and then we'll move on to the next step. Pretty easy and pretty straightforward so far, I think, yeah? I hope so. I hope that it makes sense and that painting of, and like I said, it doesn't have to be completely solid. I think mine's got some streaks happening up here, and that's okay, as it's going to add interest to our painting. And you're going to be able to add to it, and we're going to paint in layers. Yes, Bonnie, I will have this up on my Facebook page for the next few days, and then I will move them over to my YouTube channel. Okay, so my YouTube channel is the exact same. It's the Paint Diva, and there are different paintings there that you can try and have a go at. You'd be pretty amazed at what you can do. I try, and when we first started with the pandemic, when the first lockdown happened, I did all of the paintings with found objects around the house. So, what did I do? Did some lilacs using cotton swabs, kitchen sponges, rubber spatula. That's pretty much it, and Q-tips. So, yeah, that's it. Oh, thank you. All right. I'm not sure who's watching. Jennifer, if you're watching, can you please go in and answer? I've got a fan looking to get onto the live feed, and just give her the instructions on liking the page and then going into the event so that it'll pop up live for her, okay? Thank you. Oh, thanks, Bonnie. That's really lovely. Thank you so much. So once you guys have got this all painted in black, you got to let me know so that we can move on to the next step. You say good to go, just say all right. If I don't hear from anyone, oh, I see a thumbs up. Okay, I think we've got a thumbs up, which means we're probably ready to go into the next step. Okay, so now we've got a black canvas. We kind of have to figure out where our window is going to live. And for that, I'm going to use a medium flat brush. Looks just like this. Okay, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to dip that into one of my browns. Now, if you've only got one shade of brown, totally fine. If you've got 2 shades of brown, doesn't matter. I'm just going to pick the lighter brown for now because that's just the one that I happen to have, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make my window come out to right to the edge of a canvas. So I don't want it in the middle. I don't want to stop it on the end. I want it to come right out to the very side. And I don't want to go all the way to the top, and I don't want to go all the way to the bottom. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe do 1 inch from the bottom. And I'm just painting a line going right across. And I just keep loading that brush up. Just like that. And I'm going over about 3/4 of the way along the bottom of my canvas. Now my paint is still wet, and that's okay. Because all we're doing is we're just trying to figure out where our window is going to live, okay? So I'm just taking that brush and I'm going right straight up. And it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. Remember, this is an old cabin. It's going to be rickety, and it's going to be kind of worn out. And it's going to be a little tired. And then I'm going to go right across the top. Okay. Andy, can you ask Jen to go in and answer that message for me, please?
I'll go up because I've sent her 2 messages.
Okay.
She's sleeping or what she's doing.
Okay, thank you. All right. So you'll see, you can barely see it, but it's there. And that's all that is. And that's just my outline of my window. I've just used a basic brown, nothing too fancy. And I've just gone straight across. Okay. So that's all I'm doing. Okay. It's almost like a digital C. That's all it looks like. Okay, and then when I'm done with that, I'm also going to go up. I'm going to go in a little bit. I'm going to go in about 1/2 inch, and I'm going to go up and make an angle so that it comes out to the edge of the window. So almost like an isosceles triangle. Everybody see that? I just made a little isosceles triangle. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing down at the bottom. I'm just making a line coming out from the bottom edge of that window. Everybody see that? If you can't see it, I'll bring it a little bit closer just so you can see, okay? So there's the bottom, just a little triangle. And there's the top, a little triangle. That's all you got to do. So once you get that done, I just want you to leave it. And I'm going to rinse that brush. And then you guys let me know when you've got those lines painted in. And then we'll move on to the next step. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy so far, yeah? I think? Yes? No? Hope so. Okay, so just like I said, just a rectangle or a digital C, whichever way you want to call it. And then a little funky triangle at the top. And a right angle triangle. That's not an isosceles, that's a right angle triangle at the top. And then a little line dashing out from the bottom. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Okay. So you guys let me know when you got those lines painted in. And they're going to be wet, and you're going to have some black in there, and it's going to overlap, and it's going to look like it's barely there, and that's okay. Because you're using the black that's on the background to blend and mix your colors together so that it looks a little more interesting. Okay. All right. So once you get that done, then just give me a thumbs up or let me know. I've got somebody that's messaging me in my inbox and I can't get to them. Of course, because we're live. All right, guys. So I think we are probably ready to go. So all we've done is painted our canvas in black, and then we've taken a little bit of brown paint and we've made a rectangle with a right angle triangle on the top of it, and then a little line coming out from the bottom. So that's basically going to be the top part of our windowsill, and this is the bottom part of the windowsill. So we're framing our window. Okay, so now I'm going to take this big brush, my big baby brush, and we're going to start making our wood up all along the sides. So what I'm going to do with that is I want it to look like it's all a bunch of different colors. So I'm going to start with a little bit of white. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to do some quick lines right across my canvas in about 2-inch increments. That's all I'm doing, just like that. They don't have to be perfectly straight, just a little bit of paint kind of here and there. And that's all I'm doing. Okay. So just quick little strokes, just like that. Now they look like they're not solid. You'll notice that there's some space in there and they're not solid. And I don't want them to be solid because I want them to look like old bits of wood. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Now I'm going to load that brush up with white again. Got a little bit of white. And now I'm going to grab some brown. So I've got white and brown kind of overlapping on that same brush. And I'm just going to do the same thing, but I'm going to just kind of pull some brown in there now. And I'm just going right up to the edge of my window and pulling over. And some spots are going to have more brown than others. And some spots are going to have less brown than others. And some spots you're going to see more black. And that's what you want, because you want it to have that look, that parched look, that old weathered look. And I'm just going over those white spots that I put on there, and I'm just adding more color to them. Everybody see what I'm doing so far? So it's just quick strokes, quick flashes. You want it to look aged, and you want it to look spotty, and you just want to keep building those colors up. But you don't want to go run everything right up against one another. You want to leave a little tiny black line between each of those spots. Okay, everybody see that? See, I've kind of left a little black line in there. It's not perfectly straight and it's not perfectly even because we want that look of the old barn board. And then I'm going to take those colors and I'm wrapping them right around the sides of my canvas. Okay, I'm going right up against the window and I'm taking quick strokes and I'm leaving little black lines in between each of those color blocks. So every time I go in there, I'm going to grab some white or I'm going to grab some brown and I'm just making them look streaky. Nothing solid. I don't want to see any solid colors. I want to see that old aged look that we're going for. and I'm leaving little spaces in between. You'll see that? You can see the spaces that I'm leaving. All right. I'm going right up against the window and I'm doing quick strokes and I'm pulling them out. And you'll find that some of it, you don't want it to be too blendy, if that's a word. I don't know if blendy's a word. So I'm grabbing little bits here and little bits there. And then if it gets looking a little too dark, then I'm going to grab some white. That's all I'm doing. So see that? All I'm doing is I'm just making it look like it's a wood cabin. Quick strokes right across, push out from the edge of your window where you made your window until you get it looking almost like wood grain. Okay. So you just keep doing that and just keep doing that and just keep building until you get to where you're happy. And then when you're at the spot where you like it, then you just let me know that you're done and you're ready to go to the next step. So I'm going to go back in. Some of my strokes are a little long, so I just want to kind of make them a little bit shorter. Just like that. And you'll see that the black kind of pokes through in different spots, and that's what you want it to do. You want it to look old and rustic. Okay. You want to see the brush strokes. You want it to look like it's an old piece of wood that's been painted and been sitting out and weathered for the last 100 years. If it's too blended and it's too smooth, then it's going to look like it's just been painted new. You don't want that. You want that old world feel. Okay, don't forget to do the sides of your canvas. And that's what I want to give you that look. Autocorrect will love it, Carl, I promise. So now all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back in with this little brush that we've got, and I've put a little bit of black on there. And now I'm just going to kind of go in and I'm going to make those lines look a little more prominent. Now again, mind you, it's not perfectly straight. I don't want it to be perfectly straight. Oh, and see, I want to put a line in there because that looks like too big of a board to me. So I'm just taking that brush and I'm kind of flicking in and out. There, just like that. And then maybe here I want to have like a little crack in my wood, just a little piece of crack. So it looks like there's a little bit, the wood split a little bit maybe in a couple of spots. Nothing too major. The more you do this, the more you're going to get a look that's more weathered and more worn. And you just kind of dab in and out and you decide how worn you want that to look. Okay. That's all you gotta do. And when you're done that, then I want you to rinse your brush for me. Okay, I want you to rinse both of those brushes for me. And then you guys let me know when you're ready to go. And we're gonna move on to the next step. Just give me an okay or a thumbs up or a good to go. Whatever works happy for your little world. Okay, I think everybody's concentrating, I think. All right, anybody making New Year's resolutions for 2021? I'm not. Oh, I see a couple of thumbs up starting to happen. Okay, just take your time. You decide how you want your wood to look, how you want your cabin to look, how you want that feel to be. Okay, you guys tell me. Alrighty, I think we're in pretty good shape. Okay, so the next thing we have to do now is we're going to define. I'll show it closer. Sure, absolutely, Lori. I'm going to just pull that closer. So that's what the wood looks like. See, you can see lots of different colors and lots of different brush strokes happening in that. Okay. I just went right down the one side. That's all I did. And then once you guys are done, then you let me know and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, just want it to look like an old weathered barn. All right, I think we're in pretty good shape. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to now the small one. Got our small square brush. If you don't have a small square brush and you're using Q-tips, you're just gonna wanna do the same thing. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take some white, just some plain old white paint, and I'm gonna go back over those lines that we just painted on earlier. And I'm gonna go really lightly. And I'm just grabbing white and I'm just going right over those lines. And what that's gonna do now is that's gonna start pulling some of that brown that I painted on earlier. And I'm going back over it 2 and 3 and 4 times, and that's okay. I want to do that. Doesn't need to be perfect. That's all. See how that just lightened that right up? So I just want to do the same thing, and I'm going to do the same thing across the bottom, and I'm going to do the same thing across the top of what I just painted earlier. Just keep grabbing white. And it's going to grab some of my black, and it's going to grab some of that brown that I put on there earlier, and it's just going to give me a whole bunch of different colors. These ones can be a little more smooth. Again, they don't have to be perfect. I'm just grabbing white, and I'm just pulling it right across my canvas. And I'm just grabbing it a whole bunch of different times. There we go, just like that. So it's not perfectly straight. We want it to look kind of rickety. We want it to look like it's old. We want it to look like it's been living around in the outside for a long time. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to rinse that brush. All right, you guys let me know when you've got that done. I just went over those again. We're just going to keep building layers on this, so it doesn't have to be perfect right now. Don't get too caught up in that. Okay, so once we've got those done, now I'm going to take that where we made that triangle, and now you'll see that as I've come down on this part of my window frame and I've come up, it actually stops in one spot and then in another. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go from the edge of that window frame out, just like that, just along that same that we did with the triangle. I went painted right over it. And now I know where the top of my window ledge is, my windowsill is going to be, or my window frame. So see that? I just made that just go out, and then I pulled a little bit of the black down along the edge. So I've just added some shadow to my window frame. And don't worry, there's paint in there. We're gonna take care of that later. Don't worry about that. Okay, so all I did is I took that same triangle that I was doing, that right triangle, and I just moved the line out from the edge of the window now. because all that line did up there at top was a guidepost for me. So we've got some paint happening on our wood. So making it look like an old rustic barn. And now we've got some paint happening around our window. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my same brush. If you don't have one of these, you can use a Q-tip. That's not a problem. And I'm just going to mix some of my light brown with some white. Okay. So now I've got like a light brown color happening here. Everybody see that? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go right down the middle of my window. And then I'm going to go right across. So now I've just made my window panes. And don't worry if you're not perfectly straight. It's all good. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight. My goodness, I am not perfectly straight by any stretch of the imagination. Because we're going to build up some color on these next. That's all I did. That's all it is. Just a cross. And I'm painting on a little bit of an angle too, so that doesn't help either. So now I've got some outline happening on my window. And I've just painted in my window panes. So now it kind of looks like a window again. All right. Well, the next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to take that brush. I just gave it a quick little clean. And I'm grabbing some red. Now, you're going to probably wonder, why am I doing red? Well, when we do the red, it barely shows up. And you're just going to paint some squigglies in the center of each of your windows. Just some squiggly lines. Doesn't have to be anything too fancy or too particular, too perfect, because the red's actually going to dry darker than what you see. It's amazing how that works, but it really does. I'm just grabbing a little bit of red, painting over that black. And I'm just doing a few little squiggly lines in each window pane. Because what it's going to look like is it's going to give the illusion that there are lights on inside. Okay. And then I'm going to take that light brown color that I've got, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to throw some browns in there now. A few little bits of brown here and there. And you're going to be amazed at what this is going to do afterwards. There, that's it. Just the illusion that it looks almost like there's lights on in the house. And when that dries, it's going to dry darker, and then we're going to go back over it and we're going to just make everything all gussied up. Okay, so you guys let me know when you're done. It's very abstract. It's very, you just want it dark. You don't need it to be anything too particular or too fancy. It's whatever feels best for you. It's just some abstract lines, few little abstract lines. And all it's doing is it just gives the illusion that it looks like almost like there's lights on in behind the window panes. And we're going to just make those all look really cool afterwards. So don't worry about it too much, okay? All right, so once you guys have got that done, give me some thumbs up. Let me know. And then we're going to move on to the next step. Okay. How we doing? Oh, I'm starting to see some thumbs up happening. That's a good thing. Okay, so the next step we have to do is we're going to fill in our windowsill down here at the bottom. So it's pretty much the exact same thing as we did over here with the wood, but we're just going to make our lines a little bit longer. Now for this one, I'm using more of the dark brown and the light brown together because I just want it to look a little darker. So I'm just painting straight across. Some of the black's going to shine through. That's what we want. I'm just taking a darker brown. If you don't have a darker brown, that's okay. Doesn't have to be anything. And then I'm just painting the window ledge. That's the window ledge right like that. Okay, so it's a little bit darker. Looks a little dark to me, so I'm just going to add just a touch of white in a couple of spots, just like that. Again, you want that rustic feel. You don't want it to be too perfect. So just little strips of color here and there, but longer strokes. Okay, just like that. So then I've just filled in the bottom. All right, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing up at the top. I'm going to take my darker brown and my lighter brown together, and I'm just going to paint, whoops, I'm going to drop that back down on my canvas a little bit. There we go, back from my easel. And I'm just going to go right straight across the top, and I'm going to fill that all in and go right out to the corner, right out to my arrow. And I'm going to grab a little bit of white, and I'm going to go in there with the white. And see, I'm just doing longer strokes in this one because I just want it to be a little more solid. So just longer strokes. And I'm going to go straighten that window frame up just like that. So it's kind of all in one piece right now. Looks like it's all one piece, but we're going to divide that up in a little bit. There. Just like that. So we've got a window frame. It's happening up top. We got our windowsill down at the bottom that we painted that. We've thrown a little bit of color into our windows to make it look like there's some light happening in there. All right. I'm not gonna rinse that brush yet, but I'm gonna take my little brush now and I'm gonna add some shadows around my window. So for that we need black, of course. So I'm just gonna go in with the black and I'm painting in a skinny little line and I'm just adding some shadow around my window frame so that it's a little more defined. And I'm going to do the same thing down here on my window ledge. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom of my window frame down here where it butts up against the windowsill. Okay. So just like that. And that little bit of black defines your window. And I'm going to do the same thing up top. I'm going to take a little bit of black and I'm going to paint my window frame just like that. And then I'm just going to go in the corner like that. So it looks like it's wood. Okay? That's all I want you to do. Is just put some shadows in where that window is living. Now the opposite of shadows is highlights. So whatever side you put your shadows on this outside window frame, now you're going to do the same thing with white on the other side. And if you want to use your liner brush, this is a good time to use your liner brush if you want to get in there and make them really fine. And see that? So now I've got shadows on one side and I've got highlights on another side. So that gives me the illusion that my window is dimensional. And it doesn't have to be a solid white line. You'll notice that I'm just doing little bits of white here and there. Okay, so that's the one side that I did. And I'm just going to pull some of that white in because I don't want that line to be quite so thick. And then I'm doing the same thing down here. Just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing up top, as I've already put the shadow up there. So now I'm just going to go right across with some white and give it some highlight. Our eyes like having different colors of shadow and highlight to look at. It makes it more appealing. Just like that. So it's still giving you that look that it's an old beat up window. But now it's got a little bit of shadow and a little bit of highlight. And I'm doing the same thing on the bottom one. Okay. Just like that. You're not going to see a whole lot of this one at the bottom, so that's okay. So when you've got some highlights and some shadow on the outside edge of that window, let me know, and then we'll move on to the next stage. There. Doesn't take much and it's starting to look like a cabin. Once you've got all that done, then you have to go back in to our center ones and put some white in there or some more of the light brown. And you just want to highlight those a little bit to give them some interest. And you can keep some black in there. You can put some more brown in there. You decide what you want your window panes to look like. So I'm just adding a little bit of color here and a little bit of color there. I'm just adding some brown in a few spots and some white in a few spots. I'm just going to give them some more definition, that's all. You'll see that? That's all you gotta do. So all that does now is that just gives you a little bit of highlight on those window panes in the middle. Defines them a little bit more. It makes them more realistic looking. Okay. So when you guys are done that, let me know. And now this is your opportunity to go back in and look at the wood on the side of your cabin and say, okay, does it need any more highlight? Does it need any more shadow? Does it need any more black in there? Do I need to lighten it up a little bit? This is where you get to have another good look at it before we move on to the next step. Because the next step, we're going to add a whole bunch of paint. So you guys let me know where you're at and what your thoughts are. Because then we're going to start adding some snow. So I'll give you a few minutes to get to this spot here. And then you let me know when you're ready to move on. Okay? Let me just clean my brush. Get it good and dry. And then we're going to be ready to go. Okay, just give me some thumbs up. Give me an okay. Let me know so that we can move on to the next phase. Oh, thanks, guys. Okay, just let me know. Let me know when we're ready. Oh, I got our thumbs up. Okay, I think we're there. I think we're almost there. All right. How are we liking it so far? Is it looking realistic so far to you? Is it looking like a cozy cabin? I hope so. Okay, I'm going to take this brush now. We're going to go back to this big brush. And we're going to just get a lot of white paint on there. We're just going to goop that brush right up with white paint. So I got lots of white paint on there. Just gooped it right up. So now we're going to make some snow drifts. So we're going to kind of figure out where the snow drifts are going to live. So first of all, we want to put a few snow drifts in over here on the side where maybe the cracks are a little bit bigger on the cabin than where they might be, you know, the snow's kind of piling up. So I'm just going to go here and I'm just going to take this brush and I'm just going to dab up and around, almost in like an L shape. And that just gives me a little bit of snow that's just kind of popped up there in the corner. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing up here. I'm going to pretend that this is the top of my window, just like that. And it's just kind of, the snow's just kind of bunched up there in the corner as well. See that? Just like that. I'm just barely touching the canvas. I'm going really lightly. And I'm just grabbing a whole bunch of paint and I'm just making it all goopy. Make sense? And then maybe I'll put one more here and I'm just gooping it and I'm gonna bring this one right down. So it's gonna kind of be almost in like, it's just kind of there. And if it's not perfectly white and you get a little bit of the other colors coming through, that's okay, because not all pieces of snow are perfectly white. So this looks like it might be sitting there for a little while. Just like that. So I got a few little goops of snow happening here and there. Okay. So we've got some goopy snow happening up here on the edge. We've got a few little pieces that it's kind of gathered on the side of our cabin. Now we're going to go in and we're going to do our windows. So it's the same technique. You're just going to grab a whole bunch of paint and then we're going to just start making snow, but it's going to be more drifts. The drifts are going to be bigger because it's been snowing there for quite a while. And you'll notice I'm just dabbing really quickly and really lightly. And I'm just grabbing paint and I'm going right into the corner of that window pane. And it's just kind of sitting there. And it just gets a little bit smaller as it gets out toward the edge because, of course, that's what snow does. It piles up in spots, and then as it gets out closer to the edge, it gets much thinner. Okay, so just like that. And I got a big goop of snow happening on that window. Right, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here because I think the wind's blowing from one direction. One direction. And I'm just going to add some more snow and maybe this one's going to tip up here on this edge a little bit. And this is why I said it's not imperative that you have your window panes and your window ledges looking perfect because the snow is going to cover them up. Okay, so I'm just going to decide where I want my snow to live. And that one's going to kind of go like that. And I'm just grabbing lots of paint. I'm being really generous, and I'm just tapping really lightly on my canvas and just moving that brush around to fill in that whole area. Just like that. Now I get 2 goops of snow. How are we doing? Working so far? I get 2 scoops of snow. All right, you guys let me know when you got all your snow on there. You got your goops of snow happening. Just give me a thumbs up or just say okie dokie. Or good to go. And then we've got to do our big one down here at the bottom. Okay, so our big one down at the bottom, it's going to kind of go right across both of those. And it's actually going to go right over everything. And it's just going to go here, and it's just going to kind of go wherever you want it to live. Wherever your brush takes your paint is where it's going to go. Now, it's not going to be perfectly clean. And we don't want it to be perfectly clean, because we want to have the illusion that it's on glass and that you can see through it a little bit. And I'm going right down onto my windowsill and onto my window ledge. Okay, just like that. So it's just kind of living there. Okay, and I'm just going to take some more snow and just kind of start over here on this side. And it's just going to kind of work its way down till it meets up with the other one. Okay, just like that. And I'm going right over my window pane bar in the middle, and I'm grabbing lots and lots and lots of paint. And I don't want it to be perfectly white. It doesn't have to be perfectly white. We want to have that illusion that it's sitting on a window and that there's a glow coming from behind it. And I'm going right down. Ooh, see how that's getting a little bit dark down there? That's okay. I want that look, because then it gives me the illusion that it's sitting on another surface. Okay, so I'm just going and going. I'm going right down onto my window ledge. Just like that. And you just keep painting, and you just keep adding your white, just like that. So see, it's not perfectly white. You can see the little bits of gray in there, and you can see little bits maybe of the red and maybe a few little bits of the brown. And that's what the look that you want, because you want it to look like it's sitting on different pieces. Because snow is actually different colors. If you look at it really closely, you'll notice that the snow is a whole bunch of different colors when it's sitting on different surfaces. Okay, so we've got our snow hanging out on our window panes. We've got our big clump of snow that's sitting down on the bottom. We've got a few little bits of snow that are kind of just hanging out here and there and everywhere. And now we have to add our actual snowstorm. So this is your last chance to have a look at your window ledges and your window frames. And if you want to add and lighten anything up anywhere, this is your time to do so. So I might go up in here and I might add a little bit of light color. Just lighten that up just a little bit up in there. Again, don't be too solid because you want it to look like it's old and weathered. That's all you gotta do. A few little colors here and there. And I'm pretty happy with that. I like the look of that. So when you're done that, we've only got a couple more things to do. Can you believe that? How quick that goes? It's a pretty cool painting. So you guys let me know when you're ready, and then I'll show you the last step, which is actually really a lot of fun. This is when you can get some goopy and have some fun and make a mess of things. Because there's 2 different ways we're going to make our snow. Well, a few different ways, actually. 3 different ways we can make our snow. So we've got our nice big drifts happening on our windows. Got our nice big drift down here at the bottom. Got a few little drifts happening in over here. We've got some nice funky wood happening. Got some nice colors and some nice shadows and some highlights. Let's see, I go in there and I see this and I'm thinking, oh, I might want to add like a little bit darker over here a little bit. Whatever makes you happy. Happy, happy, happy. Oh, I'm going to throw some darker brown in there now. I'm going to throw some darker brown up in here. This is your last chance to do this. You won't be able to go back in and do this when we start doing the next step. So every time I paint a painting, it always looks different. It's the same concept. It's just like when you guys are all painting. Everybody who paints a painting, it always looks different. You'd all be painting the same thing, but they all look a little bit different because your world is different than my world. And that's okay. We want it to be that. All right, guys, how we doing? We ready to put some massive snowstorm on here? Give me a thumbs up. Let me know when you're ready. Because we are almost done. Yes, yes, we are. You got a couple of different options for this one. We've got a few different options. We're going to use a big brush. We're going to use an old toothbrush. Or you can use a small little liner brush if you want to just do dots. So I'll show you different options. So if you've got a small liner brush, you can just take your white paint. You can start putting little dots in everywhere. Okay. And you just keep going and going and going and going and going and going and going until you're happy with your dots. Okay. If you've got a big brush like this, you're going to grab some white paint on that brush. You're going to take your finger, you're going to go like this, and you're going to roll it across the top of your bristles. And you're going to get snow. It's just like that. You see what I'm doing? And you just keep loading in with white and loading in with white until you get all the snow that you want. The third option is to put some white on an old toothbrush. You got white paint on there, and it's the same thing. And that's going to give you lots of spray. And you just keep putting it everywhere. Like that. And you just keep adding it until you get the snow that you want. As much snow as you want. And you really want to get in there, because if there's lots of big snow drifts like that, then you've got lots of snow hanging on. And it's okay if you get goopy. It'll come off. It's acrylic. So just keep adding that snow. Until you're happy with how much snow you've got on there. This is an awesome stress reliever too. I'm not gonna lie. Look at that. See? Just covering it right up. And see what happens when you do that. As you're painting that and you're adding your snow, all the red that you put on there earlier just kind of fades into the background the way it's supposed to. So that's the illusion that there's somebody in the house without it being too obvious. Look at that. See? Just keep going. Going and going and going until you're happy. You can get a little bit carried away with this part too, I'm not gonna lie. This is a lot of fun. So look at that. Got snow. Just like that. Ta-da! Isn't that amazing how cool that looks? I love it. I used to do this with my kids when they were little. Man, we used to have to put all kinds of garbage bags down and everything. It was a heck of a mess because, man, once they got onto it, once they figured it out, holy jumping. I had paint for days. All right, guys, so that is how you make snow. Isn't that cool? I love that effect. So you got big snow drifts happening. You got snow happening all over your painting. Look at the difference that makes just by doing that, those few little flicks. And just keep going until you're happy with the amount of snow you got going on. It just breaks everything right up and it just gives it all that awesome, awesome look of snow. And yep, your hands get goopy. See, I'm all goopy. That's okay. It's all part of it. It's all part of the fun. Look at that. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to stop because I'm going to get carried away. How we doing? Are we liking it? Are we loving it? It's the coolest thing. All right, and then the last thing you have to do, as every good artist, just like I tell you always, you have to sign your painting. I'm going to put mine down in the corner. I'm going to use the red just because it makes it a lot of fun. And that, guys, is snowed in. Look at that. There you go. It's the whole painting. All done, all complete. It's going to be wet. Just let it sit and let it dry for a little bit because if you put a lot of white paint on like I did, it's pretty goopy and it's pretty wet right there right now. And that's okay. You want it to be, you want to have it that nice big thick because it's going to really make a difference when it dries. It's going to give it a little bit of texture. It's going to look more realistic and it's going to give you that really fun snowy winter look. Okay, so thank you all for joining in. I appreciate you guys, as always. Happy New Year. Hogmanay. Please take care. All the best for 2021. If you want me to do any more of these lives into the new year, please let me know, as we are in Ontario and we are in a lockdown now until the end of January at the very earliest. And if it's something that you had fun doing and you want to do it again, just let me know and I will be happy to look at something. As always, I'm still doing private parties. I've actually got one booked on Saturday, another one booked in January. So if you want more information on how to do those, give me a shout, because I would love to do that with you guys and with your group. Okay, so thank you again. Please post your paintings in the comments section. I always love to see what people are creating. Makes me really happy to see that you guys are connecting to your creativity and trying something new. All right, any questions, please feel free to reach out. Happy New Year, my darlings. And I hope that this gave you a little bit of fun to do on a quarantined New Year's Eve. Thanks, guys.